My name is Nur Alia Atira binti Muhammad Farid, and for practical test today, I choose shear force in simply supported beam laboratory. So the objective for this laboratory is to determine a shear force in simply supported beam under a variety of loading patterns and to compare it with theoretical value. So the apparatus needed is the simply supported beam. As for the procedure, firstly we need to fix the beam support and provide a span of 900 millimeter, and then mark from the left mark 300 and from the right 600 millimeters mark as section C where kita akan determine dia punya shear force, and then mark from the left mark L1 for 100 millimeter, L2 500 millimeter, and L3 600 millimeter, and then put load hangers at these positions of L1, L2, L3. Lepas tu kita kena align the beam using a spirit level by operating under slung tension spring. Boleh juga guna mata to make sure it is stable, and then kita take the force gauge reading as the first reading for calibration. Lepas tu baru apply loads at hangers and then align the beam by operating the slung tension spring, and then take the force gauge reading, and then increase the load and then align the beam again. Lepas tu take the force gauge reading, and then the shear force we can obtain from the net of the force gauge readings, and then we need to repeat the steps with different position of loads, and then kita boleh observe the corresponding of force gauge reading in a descending order of the load. As for the result, we can calculate the percentage of error for the experimental value from shear force of experimental minus with shear force of theoretical divide by shear force of theoretical and times 100, and then we can also plot a graph of load versus shear force for both theoretical and experimental value, and then from the graph we can obtain a directly proportional line. For discussion, from the result obtained, we can observe that the more the load, the more the shear force that we get. And then from theoretical shear force calculation, it shows that there is a direct relation between the loads and the shear force. However, from the experimental shear force calculation, it shows some error, maybe due to the personnel errors or the faulty of the apparatus itself. Thank you.